indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Warner.
Here.
Trustee White.
Here.
Trustee South.
Here.
Treasurer Warner.
Here.
And Person Moore is here.
Okay,
All present.
all present. Approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions?
Make a motion to accept.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Passes.
Approval of the minutes for February the 8th, 2023. Everybody get a chance to read them?
Yeah.
Yep. Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Treasury report. Vanessa, if you would.
General fund, there's $500,275.13. In the water fund, there's $126,800.39. Park fund is $27.04. Road fund is $309,205.46. Cemetery fund is $34,581.74.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasury report as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call, please.
Just give me a second. My concern, I hadn't got the financial thing, so I'm looking at the checking. Are we okay on the amount we're checking?
Yeah, there's no payables this week.
Okay. Good enough. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Glenn, you said yes,
Yes.
and the second was?
Me.
Okay. Roll call vote, Clerk Moore, yes. Supervisor Warner,
Yes.
Treasurer Warner,
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yes.
and Trustee South.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay.
Okay. Payables, we have none. Yay. Well, everything is kind of up to date a little bit. Lindsay being gone. Public comment. Anybody? No? Okay. I would like to move the gentleman from Camp Grayling, the expansion presentation. I'd like to move him up, if we could, get him out of his way before it gets snowed in.
Put him at the head of the old business.
Put him at the head of the whole business. Let's take him right now, and that way he can.
Hello, everybody. Supervisor Werner and distinguished elected officials of Briley Township and residents. My name is Monty Bolus. I've driven up here from the Grayling area. I'm blessed to have a humble little place on the Manistee River over there. I'm a full-time resident up here. I've been recreating in this area for 40 years, since 40 years this past fall, since college. I'm here today to talk to you about the proposed Camp Grayling expansion, but before I get into that, is anybody here a veteran? You know, on behalf of a group that I belong to called Camp Grayling Expansion, I want to thank you, you know, for your service, in so much as just a couple of days ago it was Veterans Day. So what I want to tell you is, myself and 3 other gentlemen and a couple ladies 8 months ago met at a meeting just like this. It was over in Bear Lake Township. It was the second meeting public meeting where we had given a presentation, we had been given a presentation about the Camp Grayling expansion. And what we noticed from the first meeting to the second meeting, a lot of things that were said in the first meeting were not being said in the second meeting, and that concerned us. We felt that there was a bit of deception going on. So we exchanged names, we met a few days later, and starting with 6 of us, we formed a citizens action group, and we have our own Facebook group called Camp Grayling Expansion. And spurring from 8 months ago, when we started with 6 of us, we're now up to 7,000 local residents throughout northern Michigan predominantly. We all support our military and our National Guard. Many of us have grown up in the Grayling area, you know, right in the shadows of Camp Grayling, and have had a good working relationship with Camp Grayling. So we are not opposed to the military. What we are opposed to is the proposed expansion of Camp Grayling. And I'm in a really difficult position because I'm going to try to condense hours of information into 10, 15 minutes here. And I want to tell the board I'd be happy to stay to the end of the meeting in case anybody has any questions. But I'd like to get into it if I can. There's a proposed proposal on the table right now that they want to expand Camp Grayling by an additional 162,000 acres. So to start with, Camp Grayling, for those who don't know, is already overwhelmingly the largest National Guard training facility in America. When I say America, I'm talking about the contiguous 48 states. There is no other National Guard that's near the size of Camp Grayling. In most cases, Camp Grayling is not just larger than other National Guard training areas in other states, it's tens of thousands of acres larger than other National Guard training areas. That's a very important point because this is not a matter of Camp Grayling coming to an 8-county area and saying we're undersized compared to other National Guards. The fact of the matter is they're overwhelmingly the largest. At 148,000 acres, in layman's terms, so you can try to visualize it, Camp Grayling is 230 square miles as it sits right now. If you take all of the larger cities in northern Michigan, you go like Grayling, Gaylord, Rogers City, Sheboygan, Mackinac, Petoskey, Charlevoix, Traverse City, and then you add to that the footprint of Lansing and the footprint of the city of Detroit. If you have all those footprints together, they're still not as large as Camp Grayling currently is right now. To give you a visual how big Camp Grayling is. Now they want to more than double their size. They want to go from 230 square miles to almost 500 square miles. We have in our group a number of retired veterans. Some of them are distinguished veterans. Many of them are officers. And more than being officers, they're officers who spent their whole entire career at Camp Grayling. One of those gentlemen, and he's went around, so this presentation is about our 60th presentation. One of the gentlemen that gives these presentations, his name is Mike McNamara. He's a retired lieutenant colonel from Camp Grayling, but over and above that, he was actually the deputy commander of Camp Grayling when he retired. He was number 2 in charge at Camp Grayling. As a combat veteran, as the deputy commander of Camp Grayling, and as a retired officer, he is specifically familiar with Camp Grayling, what the National Guard needs to do to train their guardsmen and guardswomen and reservists to be combat ready and be the best of the best. He's also specifically familiar with Camp Grayling's training area. I had sent to all the county board of commissioners, and I had CC'd anybody on your board that I could get an email address, a video that we had a company put together. We put together a video of local residents and why we oppose the proposed expansion. we got that into the hands of Governor Whitmer. But in the video, the first gentleman you saw speak was retired Lieutenant Colonel Mike McNamara. And what he says is, he starts off every presentation by saying this: if he, as a retired lieutenant colonel and the former deputy director of Camp Grayling, thought for 1 minute that expanding the size of Camp Grayling would save just one soldier's life, he would be 100% for it. And you can see him say that in that video. So this is not a matter of Camp Grayling needing additional land to better train their guardsmen. The fact of the matter is, every National Guard training area in America, every single one of them, is a tiny fraction of the size of Camp Grayling currently, and they all give to their guardsmen and guardswomen and reservists the same superior level of training to make them combat ready and combat prepared. And they all do it on a fraction of the amount of land that Camp Grayling needs. Camp Grayling has told us that the reason they need to double their size here in Michigan is because, according to them, aside from the state of Alaska, Michigan is the only state in America that receives 4 seasons and snow and has the kind of geography we have. But any 8th grader who's taken a geography class could tell you more than half of America experiences 4 seasons and snow and has a geography similar to Michigan. So that was one of the things that caught our attention, which kind of led us to believe we were being deceived. I want to tell you now that we've given over 60 presentations to sportsman groups, environmental groups, road commissions, county boards of commissioners, and townships. In the packet of information I emailed to you, you saw a map. And in that map, depicted in red, was the proposed expansion zone. Every single township and county and road commission in the proposed expansion area has went on record and publicly voted to support our military, but oppose the proposed expansion of Camp Grayling. And after they voted on it, they've written official resolutions that they have in turn sent on to Governor Whitmer. And the DNR director, Shannon Lott, who's charged with the responsibility of either rejecting the proposal or moving it forward for further evaluation. I had also sent in that packet a couple examples of resolutions that other townships have written and submitted to Governor Whitmer. In your county here, in Montmorency County, Albert Township has already written a resolution, and I think I sent you maybe a copy of their resolution. And most recently, not this past Monday, but a week before, I was up in Sheboygan County and spoke with their Board of County Commissioners. Sheboygan County is not in the proposed expansion area, but like many others that are not specifically in the expansion area, they view this as being a northern Michigan thing, that northern Michigan needs to stand together to fight off what I'm about to explain to you. So if they don't want to more than double its size and go from 230 acres to almost 500, I said acres, 230 square miles to almost 500 square miles, what do they actually need the land for? When we've had the retired deputy commander of Camp Grayling say, it's not about training. And what is it for? I sent to you a link for an article in a magazine called D Business Magazine. D Business Magazine. D stands for Detroit. In the May-June edition of 2022, it was detailed what Camp Grayling is using our state land for. There has been in the works since early 2019 a plan to militarize northern Michigan and turn it into a testing area where private companies from all over America will come to test and develop new, unproven weapons and technologies. Right in our backyards, right around our homes, and right over our heads. That's what this is really about. This isn't about training. They want more land. Now, here's the thing that's very frustrating. Of the 148,000 acres that Camp Grayling currently has, and their colonel has admitted this, in any typical year, 50 to 70% of that 148,000 acres isn't even used for training, not at all. So our position is, if you have 148,000 acres already, and in any typical year, you're not using between 70,000 acres and 106,000 acres, why not most fully utilize the whole 148,000 acres before you ask for one additional acre? So, time goes so fast when I'm trying to explain everything. Have I been pretty clear on everything so far? This is not about needing additional land to better prepare our soldiers. Officers who have retired from Camp Grayling would be the first to tell you that. What this is about is Camp Grayling getting for free our state land. We own the state land. The state of Michigan doesn't own it, the DNR doesn't own it, citizens own that state land. But it's a racket where the DNR gives to Camp Grayling our state land for free, and Camp Grayling in turn turns around and rents it out to private industry to use basically our backyards as a testing area for new weapons and products and technologies. Now here's the issue. As most of us have casually heard, like in our lifetime, most of this testing goes on out west, in the deserts out west of Utah and Arizona and New Mexico, where there are literally millions of uninhabited acres where they can safely test new technologies. We believe that of all states in the United States, the exact wrong state to turn into a testing area is the Great Lakes state. You know, we're surrounded by, we're told, 20% of the world's fresh water supply. You know, some people say, and I hope it never comes to this, but at some point, maybe in our children's or great-grandchildren's lifetimes, countries will go to war over fresh water. So if there was ever a state not to further militarize, it's Michigan. Camp Grayling, as it sits right now, is already overwhelmingly the largest. Officers who've retired from Camp Grayling will tell you they don't need to be any larger than they already are. And as citizens who went around and got 44 different counties, townships, and road commissions, every single township, county, and road commission in the proposed expansion area that we've went to has opposed the proposed expansion. The comment period where citizens had an opportunity to call DNR Director Shannon Lapp ended on the 8th of this month, on February 8th. But township officials and county officials and road commission officials can still, on behalf of their constituents, vote to oppose Camp Grayling, write a resolution, and submit it to DNR Director Shannon Lapp and to the governor. And that's what I'm here hoping for today. I'm hoping, like Sheboygan County, Otsego County, Crawford County, Roscommon County, Kalkaska County, all the townships inside those counties, not Sheboygan County, we haven't had a chance. What we've been doing, as I said, is going around and talking to all the governments inside the proposed expansion area. Now that the comment period is over, we've been going outside of the expansion area. And if I can share one more thing with you, because it's really important that you know this. When they first published a map of the proposed expansion area, which touches on like the fringe of Albert Township, right on the edge of Vienna Township, and not within hearing distance of your township, that map showed what are called proposed firing points. Proposed firing points are the locations at which they fire large bombs and things to the existing detonation areas that they already have. On that map, it showed and I think I sent you a copy of that map. On that map, it showed 2 proposed firing areas, not in your township, but certainly within earshot of your township, just inside Otsego County. from the first meeting to the second meeting, now this map was available for citizens online to see. Because they received, so everybody at the first meeting was saying, what is this, proposed firing points? What is all this about? We don't want proposed firing points in our backyard. We don't want to hear more weapons being shot off. From the first meeting to the second meeting, they said they had a change of plans, and then from that day forward and to this moment, if you look online, when you look at the proposed expansion area, it doesn't show any proposed firing points. They told us that they had a change of plans. Citizens believe what they actually did is pulled those from the map because it was easier for them when they were going around several months ago to sell the proposal if it didn't have proposed firing points, or it had actually new airstrips and things like that. So I would caution you this, all along, and you can quote me on this, I stand behind this statement, all along Colonel Scott Myers, the Deputy Commander of Camp Grayling, has been saying the reason it needs such a large proposed expansion area, which goes from Missaukee County, like southeastern Kalkaska County, all the way up to here, is that they need distance to engage in what's called electronic warfare training. And so my concern for the northernmost townships and areas and the southernmost township areas is what would give them the distance is if they have, these parcels of land that are farthest apart. Now, it's rumored that the DNR is considering giving them an amount of land less than 162,000 acres. But if in fact, what Colonel Myers has repeatedly said is true, that they need distance to engage in this electronic warfare training, my concern would be for Missaukee County, southwestern Kalkaska County, and the northeastern part of the expansion zone, which is basically just outside of your back door. It's just a township or two over. That's all I can share with you without talking your ear off. Believe me, I've done my best to condense a whole bunch of information into the shortest amount of time possible. I hope I haven't bored you to tears. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Time is of the essence. We're trying to show a solidarity in northern Michigan, saying we do not want northern Michigan recognized as the next militarized testing and development area. I would respectfully ask you, on behalf of your constituents, consider voting to oppose Camp Grayling and writing a resolution. Thank you so much for your time.
What is the date that has to be in there?
There is no date, just as soon as possible, just as soon as possible. We were originally told that the decision was, this is more funny business. We were originally told that the decision was going to be made before the end of 2022. For 6 months, we were told to send our comments and concerns to what was then DNR Director Dan Eichinger. At exactly the time everybody was expecting a decision to be made, Governor Whitmer took Dan Eichinger, the DNR Director, she pulled him out of the DNR Director's position, she sent him over to the Department of Eagle, and she put somebody else into the position of DNR Director. So our speculation is, and this is speculation, I've said to you I was not here to offer opinions, just give you information. Speculation is that DNR Director Dan Eichinger, who has a long history of standing up.
What is your actual website?
Yeah, if you just go on, are you on Facebook? Are you familiar with it? If you go to Facebook and do a search for Camp Grayling Expansion, that's what we're called. I'm one of the administrators on that site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Go
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is behind this expansion, and how, what's the word? How strong will our voices be? Will they be heard and acted upon?
That's a good question. We've tried very hard to keep this non-political because we believe protecting the environment is not about Democrats and Republicans. However, to answer your question, Governor Whitmer is the head of Michigan's National Guard. She appointed a general named Paul Rogers to the position of Adjutant General of the state of Michigan. Paul Rogers is right below Gretchen Whitmer with devising this plan to militarize northern Michigan. So when you ask who's behind it, this is Paul Rogers' brainchild, yet Governor Whitmer did in fact appoint him to the position of Adjutant General, and she hasn't yet removed him, so we have to assume that she supports this. Now that's speculation, but using common sense, if she was displeased with what was going on with Paul Rogers, she would have removed him from office. To answer your second question, are our voices being heard? I can tell you emphatically yes. We have a direct lead to the governor. We've been speaking with a gentleman named Nate Ingalls, who's an assistant to the governor. He was the person that helped us get the video that we made into the governor's hands. We presently have a number of, in fact, just on my drive over here from Grayling, State Representative Ken Borton called me because he was downstate on WJR radio this afternoon. We've had a very difficult time spreading the word downstate. So State Representative Ken Borton, State Senator Michelle Hotenga, State Senator John DeMoose, just to name several, are opposed to this, and they're fighting hard for us in Lansing, and we are having our voices heard. Absolutely.
Okay. I
Okay.
thank you very much
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
for all your work.
Thank you.
Has the county of Montmorency signed on?
Not yet, but I'm scheduled to give a presentation to them on March 2nd, so in several days. And they've received the same information you have. I've also apprised the county of Montmorency of all the other counties that have voted to oppose the expansion. You know, my county, Crawford County, where Camp Grayling's been for 109 years, it was a really big deal and a really difficult thing for them to do to oppose the expansion, as you can imagine. Not only did they oppose the expansion, but every township in my county, Crawford County, where Camp Grayling is, opposed the expansion. And we believe that was a statement.
Okay. Anybody else? Thanks. All right. Back to old business. Downtown discussion? I got nothing. You have a chance to talk to anybody? No? Marijuana business application, I think we can go ahead and take that off there. That has been done. You just come back and all is good. Zoning Board of Appeals appointment. I have a gentleman here, Hal Jonas, that is, give me a letter that you'd like to sit on that board. So I'd like to make that appointment. Jonas, Jonas.
That's the only letter you received, so
And that's the only one I got.
I'll make the motion to appoint Hal Jonas to the zoning board of appeals. I'll second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
And that needs to be, this is a collect, it needs to be
You
roll call.
roll call, okay?
Trustee South,
Yes.
trustee White,
Yes.
trustee Moore, yes. Treasurer Werner,
Yes.
supervisor Werner.
Yes.
Motion passes all
Okay.
five, nothing, all yes.
You're appointed. Cell phone tower, last meeting, kinda hit on a little bit, that we had an interest in somebody to buy out our cell tower. And they said, well, if you're making about $2,000 a month in rent, we will give you $400,000. I thought, that's great. Well, we kinda called around to see if anybody else was interested. And we actually got a hold of the cell tower people and said, hey, are you guys interested? And they're like, well, before you do anything, let me explain some stuff to you. So, the people that are interested in it, ain't always quite truthful, and the numbers that he gave me, we do not make $2,000 off our cell tower. We make $1,157.01 off our cell tower. But there is a few options here. They would buy it out, and she just kinda run over some numbers. $236,000 to buy it out. Or there is options, if we'd like to continue collecting a monthly rental, they would, consider something like $120,000 and, go back to a $469 monthly rental. So there is some options there, if we are still,
Would you say the actual that we're making is
the
$1,000?
$1,157
That's per month, right?
per month. And there's a .01 in there. You know,
That's the postage every
that's
30 years.
12 cents if you count it for the year,
Yeah, yeah.
so. Anyhow, there is some,
So how long would they want the $469 for? Indefinite?
no, what that is, that's a base rate. And then, from there, you would increase 3% every year.
For how long?
So you do it again if you like.
Is it year to year? Or X number of years, how many years?
Well, until the tower is wherever, I mean, it's an increase of 3%.
All right. That number changed substantially. Is this
Yeah,
last one that you're speaking of, is that the current people that have the lease, or is this a third party?
the one that I'm speaking about right now is the one that has the tower.
They currently have that?
Currently, and as of right now, they have one tenant on that tower. And they said to, these other people that think that they're gonna go ahead and pull these other tenants over and get on the tower and give you more per month and everything else. She said, you gotta look around, and we have two other towers that are within 2 miles of the one we have.
Right.
So for somebody to leave that tower and come over to ours, is pretty slim. You may lose people every now and then, so, just something more to think about.
Yeah, but we only have one person on the tower as it is.
Right, we have one on that, yeah.
And it's a substantial name and number, however, that's not a lot. The question I have is, what are they doing to add to the individuals on that tower? But my understanding is other people here have tried to get on that tower, and the numbers are astronomical. They can't stay in business if they pay them. So by allowing them to have them and have that control of them, we sort of relegate ourselves to certain things. We're not able to put communications up on that tower other than what they own. And what they'll allow, because their number is set at a number that's favorable to them and not to new leases. So at Larger Creek, for example, wanted to put something up there, the number is pretty astronomical from what I talked to Walter about. It doesn't work for him. Should it? Absolutely. It's high enough in the air and it allows such flexibility with signal. We could hit darn near everywhere in the township. That's where I draw a line on these companies, because I'm not sure specifically where they want to go and how much control we want to allow them to have. So we really should look at this very strongly, not do a pass-through on it. It should be
Right.
real strong.
I think we need more information, I was just,
Absolutely.
and I think it's probably more than just the money end of it, because for what they're commenting on, from what the other guy was, you know, he was throwing numbers out there, but he didn't have actual numbers. This lady that I talked to, she's, you know, they're leasing the tower right now,
Okay.
so they got actual numbers. So from there, but, I mean, if it is a, source of income, monthly income, and at the same time,
She also stated, don't jump on board
Yeah, don't-
right away.
don't jump on board right
No
away.
chance.
Do some diligence here and things, and,
Yeah, that's a substantially less number than
yeah.
the first one we heard about, what was it, 400,000?
400, yep. So there's this 236, half,
Right.
but we're also only collecting half. We're collecting just over 1,000, and the other guy thought we were collecting 2,000,
Yeah. How nice it would be.
okay?
Yep.
So if we needed a little park money or whatever,
It's there.
it would be nice to earmark some of this for the park, since it's kinda in the rec area.
Maybe
I
so.
don't know if that's something that we could set up at a later date, or something that could've, should've been set up when it was,
You pretty much gotta do it when you do it, otherwise you're gonna put the money into a general fund, or you're gonna put it somewhere that has no ownership. And we may just sit there and do nothing with it, which would not be good.
you know,
I think if we're gonna do something, do it because we have an allocation need, and that will work and benefit the township and community.
Our-
Much better, and I don't hear that yet.
our park fund has $27 in it, so,
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it'd be nice to,
Working on that.
so some of this monthly stuff that we're getting.
I wouldn't mortgage the future of the township based on the
No.
park needs some new lights.
Right, right, but it's, so, anyhow, just,
Yeah,
things to think about.
okay, when do you wanna bring this back to the table?
Let me see if I can find some more out in the next 2 weeks. We'll just keep hunting and pecking,
Okay. Sounds good.
okay?
Can you do an
Amortization?
Yes, one of those, against the projected 3% yearly increase. So,
Yeah, yeah, I could, I'll dig it up and see where, I think that's kinda how it all started, that for some reason, and Gordon's been here a couple days, and I think that's about where they started, was 450, give or take,
That
500.
sounds familiar, yeah, way
you
back
know,
in the day.
Way back
Yeah.
in the day.
so what is way back in the day, how long did it take?
How
to
long's
get
that
to this
tower
point?
been there?
Oh, man,
20
the new
years,
tower
30
went
years?
up 20 years? Yeah, 20.
Now, we're talking the tower up on the rec area, we're not
No,
talking.
no, I'm talking the other tower that came down and fell over and stuff.
No, the tower out to the cemetery's been there
That isn't that old.
15 years.
Yeah, about 15, yeah, I guess it'd be much longer than that.
They
then.
approached me when I had the store open to put it in back there.
Right, that one.
That would've been 2005, 2006.
So 15
Yeah,
years
20
ago,
years, yeah.
yeah, 20 years ago, for that one, so how long's one of them been up on the hill?
It's been up there since I got here, and that's close to 30 years ago,
Yeah.
so. The other
That's what I'm
tower was
thinking.
up there at the
Yeah.
time too. That's been completely removed
Right,
for the concrete.
so,
I would caution anytime, that, you know, if someone's that interested in it, there's a reason they're that interested in it, and why not that reason
Yeah.
come back to the local taxpayers?
right. You know, and
Even
it's,
if it takes longer.
that was kinda what she said, is you get guys, just, you know, people with money, drive around, go, oh, there's a tower. They walk up and see whose name's on the tower, and then start asking around who owns the property, and so, you know, they're gonna,
Side hustle.
right, side hustle a little bit, and,
Third party.
you know,
Hello.
give you a
Fine,
few,
catch a fish.
right?
Right.
You gotta get your line wet, you're gonna go fishing.
Said it could sell 5 times before the owner of the tower would
Yeah.
even track
Yeah.
it down.
Yeah.
But you could go for the big cash and just blow through it real quick and then be
Right.
without any future income from it and have them dictate the terms of their,
Right.
square up there.
And right now, it sounds like we don't have a choice in the terms of what's going up there anyway. You know, it's their tower and they get to put whoever they want up there.
Anything
Yeah.
inside the fence, yeah.
Things to look into.
Okay, let me ask you a question, and regress here a minute, if I might. Are you done with this discussion on the sale?
Yeah, I guess so.
Back up on the zoning board of appeals, the appointment will be effective today's date, 2/22,
Yeah,
and how many years for?
that's a good question.
Okay.
I don't know if there is a sunset on that.
Well, they'd be rotating,
Will they
well,
rotate?
no, it'd be
Well,
a
because-
3-year appointment for the civilian.
Right,
The other appointment's a concurrent,
Because
term.
one guy's been there forever.
Yeah, I know. Keeps getting reappointed somehow.
So that's 3-year term then?
I would think,
From the starting of when?
well, from the
I'll have to
start.
look at the other guy.
I would look at, see what their expiration dates are there on that.
Yeah,
See about the other guy, yeah.
well,
And I also have a class, I will forward the information to them. It's a webinar, basically.
Webinar?
It's
Okay.
really good, it just covers quickly, because we need a ZBA hearing.
right,
The planning commission has sent something to the ZBA, and we haven't had a ZBA to accept it. It's not a super time-oriented situation, but it needs to be addressed,
okay,
so.
yeah. Get,
We'll call for a
up
meeting, yeah,
and
we'll get
running
him to
as soon as
take
we
that.
can and,
Take that webinar, and then we'll call for a meeting and have our organizational meeting and deal with this other issue at the same time.
okay.
sounds like you got a plan.
Good.
I think someone does.
Okay, sorry.
Got-
Alright. The roof replacement and or repair, the ad's only been out there for a week, so I haven't gotten anything back. That I know of anyway, that's come to the office, so we figured that was a couple weeks out anyway. And that's all in the old business. New business, we've talked Camp Grayling already, treasurer's wage, and I think that was just on there. I think we're deferring that until we know more from
Budget?
budget and Mr. Allenberg.
Yep, right now, he's got a meeting set up in April, so.
So we're gonna kick this down the road all through March.
Well, we probably need to come to a decision in March before the end of this budget year, the start of the new one.
We sort of don't have a choice, because the budget starts on April 1st, so it's gotta be done prior to that date.
So we need to get with Alan and make sure where things are at there,
Yep.
but tonight,
Okay?
tonight we're deferred,
Yep.
okay.
But I have been in contact with them, so it's.
Alright. Board statements? Courtney, you been anywhere?
No, next week, I believe, but I did complete a lot of MTA stuff this week. I took, one of those 4 credit courses and did the assessment there and passed that on the first attempt, and then did a couple 2-hour-long webinars, so making progress on that, but I know there's still a lot to learn.
Okay.
It's,
all do.
there's a ton of content there, but it's all really good stuff, yeah.
Vanessa?
No. Oh, we need to get something together for my next meeting to present to them about the property over on Airport Road. to sell.
This is for the airport board?
Yep.
For the assessor, or what?
No,
Oh,
for the
yep.
property that
For
we
the
had off
buyout?
the tax sale.
Okay, gotcha.
Buy out of the property?
We need to get a number together so I can take that to the meeting and ask them about it.
Well, let's see, we got this tower we've been looking at,
We got a landlocked 42 out there that we can sell.
okay?
The Parks Committee will present to the board on March 8th too, kind of where where we are at.
Cool.
Yeah. Got some visual slides to show you too.
Ooh, boy.
Ooh, slideshow,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. I've been to the fire meeting, and, our 2 people from Loud didn't show up, so we didn't have quorum. So we had coffee. Then went home.
Okay.
Evelyn?
I went to the ambulance board meeting finances are getting hit pretty hard with the fluctuation of the, fuel costs. So, still working through that. There's been a situation with one of the ambulances, having issues with their catalytic converter just disintegrating every couple of years, which is an expensive fix. And found out it's because a routine maintenance that should be done, the mechanic didn't tell them should be done. So that's gonna cause them to start looking for a new mechanic. Other than that, everything's good. They're still, of course, looking for additional employees, but everybody's looking for additional employees.
That's a given. Phil?
Ooh,
Oh, was you done? Sorry.
no, it's all right, I was just thinking, what did I do?
I didn't know if Evelyn was done. Got it.
Planning commission was in there the last couple of weeks, wasn't it? The planning commission, we talked quite a bit about downtown. Eric was in town, and we worked on the downtown area, worked with a lot of maps. We looked at the zoning on those maps of certain properties that were questionable in a sense because they didn't really fit the area that we were working in or had them on the map as, but not in a position yet to change it. So we're still working on those maps to get them done properly, so there'd be less questions in the future as to what's available and where the zoning is on that property. That's pretty much what we did.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we're in serious discussions right now of merging the C1 in the Old Town District into one district. Let's be done with this. On this side of the street you can do this, but on that side of the street you can't, you know.
Right.
Get it all on the same page there.
You gonna call it something different?
Yeah, probably completely different, so people don't
Atlanta?
confuse. Yeah,
Well,
like that, yeah,
could
Atlanta.
be the village of Atlanta, could be a C3 property, could be
C3.
darn near anything.
Phil's
Okay.
backyard. Yeah,
You got-
we'll
Yeah,
come up
right,
with something.
sure. I don't think so.
I think I did hear C3.
Yeah, but that's being, all that's being discussed.
Yeah.
And it's quite an extensive undertaking to do that, because you have to take a lot into consideration before you put your stamp on it.
Yep. And then he had questions about these random industrial plots that are scattered throughout the township.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Some that were placed there should have been removed. other
Yeah,
ones that were
there's
placed there,
ways to
nobody
deal
knows
with it.
about.
To get them to slowly become more,
Yeah.
not just random industrial spots in the middle of nowhere.
That's
We have,
right. Exactly.
but that's paperwork too.
Yep.
And more meetings.
Yes,
More meetings.
many more.
Okay. That it?
Public comment.
So I guess that's it. Public comment. Sir?
Hi, I'm Tom Williams. I'd like to thank Monty for his presentation, and
You're very welcome, sir.
I would hope that you would pursue the resolution in opposition.
Yep, I got some information I'd like to get to everybody. Monty got it to me yesterday, so I'd like to get it to the board and things so that we can maybe act on it next meeting. 2 weeks,
Very good.
okay?
If I can answer any questions for you, again, I've left my phone number up there. I'll be happy to do anything I can.
Now, the existing military reservation over there, I think that's what they call it, right? Military reservation?
Or training area, yes.
Yeah. No, I'm a geocacher, and we had a big event happen in that area several years running. And sometimes you get the impression that there's a big fence around Camp Grayling, and there isn't really. There's a big fence around the core.
Yes.
Don't approach that fence. But once you're further out, you know, there's just a lot. It seemed to me to be state land with tank tracks on it.
Yeah.
And as we were running around and stuff, we had occasional Apache helicopters fly over and had height and stuff like that. And we talked to the commander, and he encouraged us to be out there because the National Guard needs to learn to work around civilians.
Oh, great.
So, it's kind of hair-raising having an Apache come over your head and land and a bunch of guys jump out, but,
need practice avoiding people.
yeah. We found our ammo can in Sangolog, so we're all good. But yeah, no, a lot of it is open to
Don't
the
run
public
straight.
and for hunting and for recreating. But except when they do their serious trails, and then someone's gonna stop you from going down that
Yeah.
trail.
One of the concerns that a lot of the counties have had and a lot of the townships have had is, years ago, you used to be able to hop on a trail with an ATV or a snowmobile as far south as Roscommon County and go all the way up to the bridge. But now they're starting to close down all the, let me be fair, not all of the trails, but enough of the trails where there's no longer like a contiguous, easy way to get from down there. And that affects your tourism dollars. We had a woman on the video that I sent you. She's a 6th generation resident of Lovell's. And she said the Camp Grayling operations over time have completely decimated the town of Lovell's financially by cutting off tourist access to the town. So it's, I hate to make this about money, but it can affect, home values, it can affect property values, it can affect tourism, it can affect all of those things. I didn't want to start off talking
Yeah,
about
and the
that.
tax base.
Yeah, the tax base, all of it. And so, again, that's a whole other presentation, but it's a very real concern. And that's why, these counties have all hopped on board. They didn't want to see their property values driven down.
Yep.
Is that video on your Facebook page as well?
It is, it's been posted a number of times. What I
Okay.
can do is find it, and I have it on my computer, and I can post it again, so when you go to the page, it'll be one of the first posts that you see. But I think I did forward that
Okay.
video to
Yeah.
supervisor
Yeah.
and to county officials.
Okay.
But I'll put it up when I get home tonight or tomorrow morning, okay?
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Who makes the final decision?
Well, we're told DNR Director Shannon Latt makes the final decision. However, DNR Director Latt is an appointee of Governor Whitmer. So you can appreciate that as an appointee of the governor who has a $170,000 a year job, if she wants to keep her $170,000 a year job, she's probably going to try to exercise the will of the governor. So that's where these resolutions come in handy. We're trying to give DNR Director Latt the ammunition and the backing to say to Governor Whitmer, I understand what you're telling me you want to have happen, but we were not counting on these 44 local governments and they said they've received tens of thousands of residents from letters from residents opposing the expansion. So that's where these resolutions come in. We continually, every time we have a new township or a new county join the fight, we update that map that I sent to you. And so Director Latt can say to the governor, these are all the townships that are opposed to this. And that's giving Director Latt the ammunition she needs to stand up.
Big leg to stand on.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
It doesn't sound like that fits with the pure Michigan
It sure
tourism.
doesn't. Yes, ma'am, that's it. That's it, it sure doesn't. It's more like pure military.
Right.
Greg, you had something?
Yeah, put it on your agenda when we can figure out what the holidays are gonna be, like Halloween, so I can go ahead and rent the space in the park.
Okay,
Doesn't have to be, tonight, but
all right,
come up with an idea on it.
Calendar of events.
yep.
I hope it isn't on Monday
I think
again.
Didn't we talk about,
we did the 4th, was gonna,
That's when the office was closed.
right,
Generally, what happens on Halloween is the chamber sets all that up and they bring it to us and we approve what they're doing as far as their date.
not for Halloween,
No, we
Yeah,
picked
for
treaters.
Halloween.
no.
No, I
Park's
think
been
we
doing
picked treaters.
Halloween for the last 3-4 years. You've
3
been
years,
doing
yeah.
Halloween?
The chamber comes in and they set with here in the audience, and we have that discussion, they set the date and we approve that date. That's been happening for years, as far as I remember.
With the chamber?
Not with the
for Craig?
chamber.
No.
No,
No, not for Craig.
No,
No,
no.
the
Asking
chamber
when
for Halloween,
You're asking
no.
when Halloween is,
Yeah,
Yeah,
For trick or
that's what he
treating, we
wants
set
to
trick or
discuss.
treating.
and that's set up.
We
on
set the
Halloween.
trick or treating, chamber doesn't. Chamber has nothing to do with trick or treating, nothing.
all right, chamber's setting up
But
the
I
fireworks here.
also,
Yeah.
last year,
It's on Tuesday,
remember,
FYI.
I just looked at it.
I
What's that?
also remember,
Halloween's on
We
Tuesday.
make it town. That's the day.
One other thing, what was that, on the old agenda? The marijuana application, you said you were taking that off the agenda?
Yeah, that's been done.
15th.
Been done in what way?
The gentleman stopped back and got his application. Got his zoning permit. So
Okay.
we were just riding it out until he stopped back in and got his permit. And he did that the other day.
So you issued a permit for him to go ahead with it?
Yes.
Okay,
As did the county.
even though we don't have a legal ordinance?
according to our attorney, we do have a legal ordinance.
Okay,
I seem to remember last year Halloween time, us having a discussion about the trick or treat in the park and what we were going to do as the township to help support using the park for that event, so that he doesn't have to rent it per se.
Right.
So I just wanna make sure that Craig's not bearing the cost of helping to pull the community together and people into town for,
I
Yep, and you
I agree
said
with you. And the discussion-
Halloween is on the second,
And the
Tuesday.
discussion that we had.
Tuesday.
right.
The discussion that we had was exactly that.
Mhm.
And he was told at that time he would have to go to the Chamber of Commerce and work under their insurance unless he wanted to buy his own personal insurance. It's not something the town.
I've never had to have insurance for the trunk or treat. That's only for the Arts and Craft Festival.
I'm just
Arts and
advising
Crafts
you, it's a
Festival.
good thing to have. If you don't have any liability coverage.
It would be really
it's a
good.
problem.
Yeah, the township's already got liability insurance that covers that park. I don't see why you have to double up on the
The
policy.
township.
Of course
But-
we do. It's not our event.
But
Well,
the
Maybe we
point
should
being,
look
if that's gonna be the case, then I'll just withdraw from doing anything around here.
but the point,
Nobody said it was gonna be a problem.
How
What we're
about we look
saying is
into
that we
it
need to look
and
into
get a
this
definite,
along the
solid
way.
stone answer?
right,
I'll call Lappin tomorrow.
right.
There you go.
Because the point being is, as a community, we should be supporting these types of events. And I do agree, Craig, that it would be nice if you could work with the chamber on that and maybe expand what you're already doing, because the new, people at the chamber seem to want to really work on.
Well, the chamber can take the whole thing over. I don't really care.
No, I don't think they wanna take it over.
I like
mean,
what
you've
you
done a
do,
great
yeah.
job. It's something that people respond to well, you know, that you
Yeah.
put this on. That's not the point of having somebody else, but maybe being able to expand it, cause it's hard to do it all as one. But you get that group behind you.
Do people just show up and do the trunk or treat, or is it, do you send out an invite, or?
I send out invites. It's posted all over Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
That's where most of
I remember
the,
seeing the Facebook post,
yeah, that's where most of it comes from.
and then people just kinda,
Each year.
They'll
there's
call
been
me,
more
they'll
and
send me
more
messages,
people.
whatever. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, calendar of events.
Yeah.
Vanessa's got that written down too.
Just be aware, be careful when you're treading on this, because donating the park for a good cause means you have to donate the
working
park for all
together.
causes. So,
It's working together, not just
Yeah, no, no,
donating.
We're not,
Work
he just,
together.
we're not
Want it to
donating, he
happen.
just showed up.
You just want it to happen properly.
yep.
Yeah, well, and when you said that the attorney said that it's a legal ordinance, were you talking about the township attorney or the marijuana attorneys?
The township attorney sent quite a bit of correspondence that, supports legally.
I'd like to see a
Told us
copy of that letter then.
Told us what steps had to be taken in order for this to happen.
No.
So I'm sure that if you came in and asked for that, you could,
Mr. Edwards has a copy of that already.
okay. So, but that was a legal opinion by the Briley Township attorney.
Okay.
And instruction, not just opinion, instruction, these are the steps that you must follow. And so we did that.
Any other?